Hello and welcome back to the Ecuador Insider podcast. Jesse, Brandon, pleasure to be with you on this freezing cold, grim, dark day
Brr.
in Ecuador. Dude,
It's windy.
It's been cold.
It's windy. It's like the wind kicked up like the last week. Pretty fierce.
Yeah, no, I mean the weather's been different the last few years, but you do get the July, August additional wind, not all the time, but sometimes. And it's been serious this year.
Yeah. Do you know that just over here behind the jacuzzi there was a tree branch that fell in the wind? It broke in wind and whatever. We cut it down, or they cut it down. And I noticed for some reason my orientation of where the town square was, where the church was, I thought it was over this way further. And then now that tree's gone, I'm like, oh, the church is right there. The tree's been down for 3 or 4 days, and I just noticed last night. Tiffany's like, I'm like, is that the church right there? Yeah. Yep. You got to move to it. Did you see it?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
I'm like, I was always when I'm oriented, I'm always thinking it's over there, but yeah.
It may have something to do with the fact that you can't see.
But I can just see it now, right? Right.
I mean, I don't know. I guess. Yeah. It's
anyway,
a good point. It's a good point.
All right. Good one though. You're the funny one.
I mean, still might have something to do with that. Perhaps. All right. Well, we're going to talk about quite a few things today. By the way, just really quick on the cold. So I was at a meeting today in San Pedro, 5-7 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And I walked in and everybody had on a sweater or a jacket,
right. The puffy coats.
Which there's no, I mean, you would never wear this here during the day.
Right.
And I'm in between. I'm a little bit too hot. Yeah. But if I take it off, I'm not sure. I'm not as tough as you.
No. As soon as the wind blows, I'm like,
yeah. Which again is very unusual. But this is winter. This is, we are just barely south of the equator, if you believe in those things.
Sure.
And this is winter. It's the dead of winter. July, coldest month. And it's a little nippy.
It's a little chilly.
Yep. So, okay, we're going to talk about Donald Trump.
Are we?
Perhaps today.
Should we?
I mean, why not?
What happened with Donald Trump?
I think he stubbed his toe.
Is that right? Yeah.
We're going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about crime and safety.
Okay.
We're going to talk about community.
Cool.
And this place.
I like
what
that.
This place is and means and shall be. And anything else that comes up. Anything you want to talk about today particularly?
No, that sounds good, man.
Yeah.
I'm up for whatever you'd like to chat about.
Before we do that, since I've been holding this and I'm 4 days into a fast, by the way.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm
proud
doing
of
pretty chippy, actually. I'm doing all right.
No, you seem good, actually.
First couple of days was not like this.
Well, because you were sick.
I was sick.
So that sucks to fast.
I want to show. So, shout out to Juan. Shout out to Juan. And this is a new label. So this is a brand.
A can.
It's a can.
Yeah.
Which normally it's in plastic.
It's in a bottle. Yeah, we've seen.
So I want to anyone in the U.S. So the guy that owns this company is from here. He's freaking awesome, or co-owns. He's freaking awesome. He's a really cool guy. He's doing beautiful things here in Ecuador and here for the community. This gets exported to the U.S.
Certified USDA organic in Ecuador.
Yep.
We were at the farm. The farm's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
The way they use what's the right word? The ecology and the biodynamic. I don't even know what the right word is, but it's beautiful, man.
No, it is, and he did a phenomenal job. He's doing. Yeah, it's got to be some sort of high-level permaculture type stuff.
Yeah, with the composting.
It's almost like the new permaculture where they're doing all the bacteria and the
microbiome.
Microbiome.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you're in the States, Chicky Boom Boom, is it Chicky Boom
Boom?
Dude,
reggaeton in a bottle, baby.
Yeah. Go out, find this in your store. These things are awesome. And shout out to Juan.
It's in the flavored water section, guys. So it's horchata flavored water with different sub flavors. So this is a mango passion fruit or something.
Passion fruit.
Yeah. So they're all different flavors of horchata. And horchata, do you want to describe horchata for people? It's
sure. Yeah, horchata is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like horchata is from this region, particularly Loja.
Well, this style of horchata. Because there's different styles of horchata,
So maybe it's the Ecuadorian horchata. I don't know,
Right.
but they grow it here. They
Mhm.
grow it like in Loja. It comes
Different
from
herbs.
Loja. Yeah. So it's like I don't know, 16 or 20 something or 40 different plants that go into it. It's a tea. It comes out red color. It's beautiful. Like if you buy the herbs, the
Mhm.
plants to make it, which they sell at every market in Ecuador. It's it's like a thing like this
It's awesome,
with a
man.
little with a natural. It's not even a string. They'll
Right.
take like a plant and wrap it around it.
Mhm.
And it it looks like a bouquet of flowers almost. And you boil in water and it makes horchata. It's delicious. It's supposed to be very good for you. I don't
Like they call it medicinal. You
Yeah.
know, it's a medicinal tea, and yeah, it's
So
pretty
now
cool.
I'm too hot.
Yeah, the sun just came out. The wind died down.
See,
You got a
now
little
you're
warm.
good and I'm hot. Then it'll go away and I'll be good and you'll
Yeah,
be
so we'll
cold.
always be in balance,
Yeah.
baby.
It's I mean, this is the duality of this reality, right? On display.
Right.
You can't have it all.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, let's stay tuned for the Donald Trump stuff and get our thoughts on that. Let's start with some of the stuff that's going on here.
Yeah.
So and it's interesting too. I'll preface a little bit. I was having this conversation today, sort of a security conversation, which
Yeah.
I get into a little bit perhaps,
Mhm.
but having this conversation today, and one of the things that came up was the press on this place, right? And a friend of who I was talking to was bringing up, the press on this place, and we were just kind of talking about that for a minute or two, as in the broader context of a larger conversation on security. And a couple of things are interesting, right? The only headlines that you're ever going to hear about this place are when there's a negative event, a
Mhm.
negative thing happens.
Sure.
And you could argue that's true of anything, kind of, to some degree, but that's the only thing. So if you Google, he was telling me, I've never done this, but he was telling me, like, if you Google Vilcabamba, you're gonna find some stories from real press, like the Daily
Yeah.
Mail or this or that, and like, for example, when Francesco was murdered
Mhm.
a year or two ago, that made international headlines. And there's just kind of a lot of negative pub. And then and then I was commenting, yeah, well, another interesting piece of that is YouTube, where outside of our channel, right, you have a lot of YouTubers who are commenting on Ecuador or live in Ecuador and have a Ecuador-based channel, who have a lot to say about Vilcabamba, who have either never been here or only visited in their, either they don't live here. They've either never been here in their life,
Right.
or and they've got, they're giving you the facts, right?
Right.
They're giving you like the scoop on Vilcabamba, and it's absurd. And I've noticed too, a lot of them, a lot of people, like, they're very drawn to negativity. And it's very, and it's like, anyways. So my other friend who was at this meeting, and these are both Ecuadorians who are from here. My other friend, is telling me, he had a friend who was flying in from Europe, from I forget where, Switzerland maybe. And he was coming to Ecuador for a totally different reason, and he was just coming to Vilcabamba for a couple of days to visit, basically. And he Googles it, and he, like, I don't know if he called or texted, and he's like, dude, he's like, it seems like you're sending me to one of the most dangerous places on earth, type of thing, right? And so it's just kind of interesting from that perspective. But yeah, so we've talked about this many times. We have had an uptick in crime in the country, an uptick in crime in the world, an uptick in crime in Vilcabamba. It is highly concerning to everybody. It matters deeply to all of us. Like we live here. You can't have life without safety. You need security to enjoy your life, period. I think, in the world. And so we've been dealing with that for the last, period of time. And I've shared sort of some of my thoughts about that, but where I always come back to, for me, and I'm just speaking obviously for myself, and I think, well, I would say going into our previous conversation, but that will be after this, in the whatever they call that, the outtakes or bloopers, as Fernando refers to it. A lot of that, again, just comes back to perspective and the world that you decide to live in, like the world you decide to create with your outlook, with your perspective. But but from my perspective, right, like spent close to 12 years. I think it's actually 12 years. Is this July?
It
Yeah.
is.
In fact, it's 12 years now, I believe.
Wow.
So I haven't been here for 12 years. You know, deeply ingrained as much as you can as a foreigner. Years in Loja, opening a business, wife, kids, the whole nine. And gaining some perspective on like, oh, I'm wrong about everything. Kind of works this way, and
Mm-hmm.
learning a totally different culture and society and all that. The thing that I've always come back to as security for me, as like why this is home and why I won't leave, like why I just love it here. There's all the positive reasons, but just in terms of security, is that this is a place that people have real power. Like this is a place that the community decides for itself what's going to take place. And part of that is because there is corruption and there is so much looseness of rules and laws.
Mm-hmm.
Everything here is moldable, everything's malleable. It's all human interaction, it's all people to people, it's all person to person. So for me, this is so beautiful because it means that you're responsible for your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the government, it's not the oversight agency, it's not the insurance company, it's not the doctor because you
These laws and these regulations allow me, no,
right,
it's not
right.
that.
So
right.
then because that sort of takes responsibility away. It's sort of, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to worry about it.
I mean, it's a slippery slope. Yes.
It depends, and it depends on what you're into.
Exactly.
Like that's really the thing. But because of that dynamic, which of course has its pros and cons, like clearly, right? Anywhere in the world, like how much law and order and regulation do you want or not want? Good question to ask yourself, right?
Yeah.
But because of that dynamic and because of the way it's been here for the last however many hundreds of years, and because of the culture and because of the way people are and because of the way people are oriented on community and on all these things, it's a place where there is actual real, for real, no BS power in the people, power with the people. It's not like people don't have the mentality here of I'm going to vote harder and like life's going to be better. People don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
People don't have the mentality here of like, oh, something's going wrong in the community. Let's get the politicians involved. Let's, lobby harder. Let's they do protest, but in a different way. People here, if they don't like something, they get together, deal with it, and change it. And I watched this happen. Not more so I'm talking about in the country, not so much Vilcabamba, but just in general in this country. I've watched this happen so many times and so many different things and issues and cycles and ups and downs and things that go on. So that's for me, like where I always come back to is like I trust the people here.
Yeah.
I trust the people, like the people. Not to say everybody's a great person at all, right? It's not the case. But the consensus, the certainly the majority, but sort of the consensus of the vibe, the consensus of the people, the culture here is still intact.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's still intact. So because it's still intact and because they have to answer to one another, there's accountability. Whatever the community, like the broader sort of consensus decides, actually gets implemented, actually takes place.
Right.
And so I trust the goodness of the people. I trust the culture. I trust who they are. Therefore, I trust that this place will be okay, no matter what. And so, all right, that's kind of the preface. What we're seeing now, from my perspective, in terms of what I'm involved in, witness to, or just aware of, taking place at exactly all of that stuff that I just talked about level.
Community level.
Community level is really the right word. Is so freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
Because of the crime I'm talking about. Because we've seen a different level of crime. We've seen a different level of violence creep into this area over the last few years, and that is not what people are used to or willing to accept or about here. And, as it sort of stayed not too bad, it was like, just little grumblings, but like, and as it's increased and gotten worse, I've always known that sort of swell or backlash, was coming, and we're now in it. We're now in it, and we're seeing the community organize to get itself the way it wants to be on every level. So we're seeing it on the street level of like regular people. We're seeing it in the media. We're seeing it in the politics. But, and as important as any of that, we're seeing the pressure come from the top down. So the influential families, the people who have power and influence at the top levels are putting pressure, direct pressure, which matters in this country, on the top of X, Y, and Z organization, security app, blah, 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 blah. And we've already just in the last couple of weeks seen some pretty large changes in Vilcabamba in this area. We've seen some arrests. We've seen a massive influx of security presence from the state. I'm talking about. You know, community groups. We've seen, you know, media, all of it. So yeah, it's kind of
it's awesome.
Yeah,
and you know, we've gotten some feedback from, you know, folks on the channel that saw, you know, the police presence, and, you know, have you heard of the Hegelian dialect? These are government actors. You don't want a police state. And it's like, yeah, we get that. But again, I think that's from the perspective of folks that haven't been here, that think this place is much bigger than it is. It's a 7,000 person town, small, tiny little town, and there's a few more cops in town. And it's a good thing. And it's not like they're here permanently to, you know, check your papers in next to the church, you know, like,
right.
So yeah, it's not problem, reaction, solution, you know, everything, you know, is I'm as much into, you know, thinking critically about situation and challenging you know, challenging everything, you know, everything isn't what it seems, and really going through that from all angles. But everything isn't, you know, a government controlled operation. You know, the police aren't here to surveil and control the 5,000 Ecuadorians and 1,100, you know, gringos in this town. You know, it's not like, you know, it's so when people say that, it's just like, I don't even know what to say to them. Like, okay, man, like, sure. Or how about, no, look at what this actually is. This is by the people. The people are bringing this about because they want change. This isn't, they're not, like you said, they're not voting harder. They're not, in some cases, they don't even want the politicians involved.
Right.
You know, they don't want them involved, let alone, you know, asking their permission for some of this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I in my perspective, and again, you know, people are going to perceive things differently. For me, everything that's happened, everything that's continuing to happen is positive for the direction I like the area, you know, to go, and that I think is going, and I think that's all good, man.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff, you know, it, again, like everything, it's so dependent on your perspective, right? So, which I think you mentioned as well, but it's like, you know, I think a lot of us who, how do you describe that? You know, a lot of us who sort of aren't in the paradigm of just trust the media, trust the government, just trust, you know, whatever you learned in school is fact, and whatever the TV says is fact. Those are, you know, for those of us not in that camp, you know, I think that there is certainly a phase or a part of that experience where you do come to a conclusion where a lot, if not everything, looks like or is a conspiracy, right? And that's, I don't disagree with that. Like I think I've studied these things as much as anybody, really, truly, and I don't actually disagree with that perspective. It's just that those two things. One, there's a next level after that, which is to realize kind of what you were talking about earlier in the post show, kind of what you were talking about earlier, of just what's in your control or outside of your control.
Right.
So if you frame your world around, again, fear, if you frame your world around everything's a conspiracy and everything is out to get me, and whatever takes place, it's controlled by somebody up high, and it's with negative intent. If you frame your world that way, like, your world becomes fearful and negative pretty quickly. Whereas if you if you more take the perspective of, hey, sure, there is a conspiracy, quote unquote. There is an organized group of people who don't necessarily have positive intent, although I think they have an important role to play actually,
Sure.
but who don't actually have positive intent, and that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, it's a world full of humans
Right.
who have free will, and we all and anybody can create anything. And it's, and I'm not really saying that exactly how I want to say it, but that's, that's a very different perspective. And then when you take Ecuador and put it into that conversation, right? This is just not a place, and I think you were making this point, but like, this is just not a place where they have the degree of control and they have the degree of ability to like implement something and then have it go all the way down through. The whole paradigm here just doesn't work. Now, it's not to say like, maybe, sure, like, I don't know, is the president, compromised to some powers that be in the world? Maybe, I don't know. Could that exist on some level? Sure, but the idea that there's some conspiracy to get, as you said, this tiny little town to respond in the Hegelian dialectic way, which is like the problem, reaction, solution that David Icke and stuff talks about. I think it's absurd regardless, but I think it's really absurd in this country.
Right.
Like
this particular part, this particular town of the country.
Yeah.
Let alone, like, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way to, like, unless you've lived in Latin America, at least, probably Latin America would suffice, but unless you've lived in Latin America or you've lived in Ecuador for a significant period of time, speak the language, understand the culture, understand how stuff works here, there's just no way to communicate that well. Because the way that things happen here, the way that things get moved into place, the way the police operate, the way the government operates, the way the institutions operate, the way, the courts and everything, it's so different. It's so different from what we're used to. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, there's a police officer who, if he's left to his own devices, if you ask him to do something, might ask you for some money, for gas money. I mean, I think I told this story on the podcast. I picked up some police officers and drove them to where we were going for something, because the car was they have one police car in this town, and it was in the shop. And so if we want to go, it's in my truck. And that it could be in the shop for a period of time, because they have, this is like Latin America, right? So in a country where that stuff exists, number one, getting things implemented and accomplished has to happen from the community level, and it does. And then number two, implementing broad-scale genius plots.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I don't know if there's more to say on that other than, like, it's good luck. Right.
So, all right. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So yeah, that kind of hits the safety, hits the community stuff. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to get into.
I want to grab one thing. I got to show you this. I got this from one of my buddies that's a retired police officer. He was a police officer in Machala and in Quito and all different places. But I was over at his house the other night, and he gave me this. Nice. His wife said, "This is Sixto," like, this is him. So yeah, I got my Sixto statue to protect the house.
Nice. That's awesome. All right, so now that we've done that, I guess we can dive into the Trump stuff a little bit. Oh, another thing actually before we do that. So it's like, okay, obviously for anyone who's thinking about this place, you have to consider safety. Like, I'd say kind of course, like wherever you're going to live or whatever you're going to do in your life.
See, I got that spot back.
Yeah, you did. That was, um, you, um, you kind of safety has to factor in, I think, to anything you're doing in life.
Yeah.
Like if the
course.
bus is coming, that's not the right time to cross the street.
Here's your sign.
There's your sign. So we kind of covered that in terms of, and I think everyone has to make their own choice. Like, is this place safe for them? Right? Like if they're considering here, like, is this place safe for them?
And you have to do that by being here for a period of time. To try and make that decision before you're here, that's kind of silly. Like,
yeah, I mean, unless you just know, because like anything they're talking about just scares you to the point where
well,
like
sure,
you're
then
like,
don't
no way,
come.
then yeah, then it's
well,
not.
yeah,
then
of
don't
course.
come.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
right. That's probably most people.
Right, not necessarily in terms of safety and security, but just in terms of the lifestyle.
Yeah, but really, don't listen to us. Don't listen to anybody on YouTube. Don't listen to Facebook. Don't listen. I mean, most of Facebook groups that I see, I mean, it's just so much hyperbolic, vitriolic, divisive, half the time untruths that, you got keyboard warriors saying things they would never say in real life on Facebook.
Yep.
It's kind of gross,
and
man.
generally don't even know anything about.
Right.
And like it's just random negativity.
Yeah. So then when, people are looking to investigate, do their research on places, and you come across that, well, good luck,
That's a great point. Like, to actually, yeah, you're right. No, I mean, unless you're just terrified or you just really feel called.
Right.
Which both people feel, right.
That's a small portion.
Very small. Yep. Unless you're one of those two, your advice, I think, is the right one. You come and spend
check it out,
a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you see. Like,
I mean, even the first time I came was 6 weeks. The folks from the Netherlands, the family that was just here when we started the pod, they've been, they're spending 7 weeks here, and they were here 11 years ago, the husband and wife, and they felt called to come back. They have an 8-year-old daughter, and they want to see what it's been like for them. They're, they were even touching on some of the things you talked about earlier with like schools and stuff in the Netherlands, how they're just having to have conversations with their daughter every day,
Right.
and she has this intuition because she has parents that have, raised her in a way to, have this, question things and understand things in a different way and not just accept, this is the way it is. And, she's coming home and asking me, Mom, Dad, is this, XYZ? And, they have conversations. Right. And that's one of the reasons they're drawn to here is, to be able to live in a way that they don't have to subject her to as much of that. You're never getting away from that ever.
Just about here. I mean, just about.
You can. You're a lot more here. But yeah, but it's just interesting that they were here. They're here for 7 weeks. They're it's about the feeling. What does it feel like? How is it for them? What's their perception of it relative to the last time they were here? Relative to they're different now. They're different people.
It's interesting. It's changed a lot since 11 years.
Yeah. So not only has it changed, they've changed. They have a daughter. So the world's changed. So but it's interesting. But there's no rush to do it. There's no, come check it out. If you don't like it, cool, that was your chapter. Leave. Maybe your chapter is 500 pages and you're here for a long time. Maybe you're not, but it's hard to really say for sure unless you have that call, or it's hard to know without being here. And it's almost, you're doing yourself a disservice if you feel a way about it and you don't give it a chance. You don't give yourself a chance to experience it and see and know, and feel the signs, see the signs one way or another.
Yeah, it's almost like the metric for that is just like how much fear grips you or not.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Because it's so easy. I mean, yeah, it's
That's
kind of perfect.
Scale.
It's kind of the perfect, what do they call it? I mean, barrier to entry is the wrong word. Litmus test. It's kind of the perfect, litmus test, because it's very easy to get scared away from this place. Right. And I think if you are scared away from this place, you should be.
And stay away. Yeah.
I really feel that way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. This is not for you, and it wouldn't be good for you. So,
no.
Right. Or anyone else, right?
Yeah. So anyways, the thing I wanted to jump into a little briefly here before we get into the meat of the day.
The meat.
Donald Trump's ear.
Oh, that's some flashy topics,
meat. Yeah. Is just what is actually being built here, right? So to me, if I'm just stating this plainly and honestly, this is like a New Earth community. It's a New Earth hub. It's a place on Earth that has high energetics where people are drawn to create, something special, to create something that isn't in a lot of places, if anywhere, on Earth. Like that's to me what this place is. That's why it's why it's called what it's called. It's why the mountain is there. It's why the whole nine. Like all the. It's why they came here in the '70s to study it and check out it's about the longevity, and it's why there's more healers to population than anywhere else on Earth. It's why it's why so many sort of spiritually minded people are here, and just people that have really beautiful high goals and ambitions and talents and blah 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 blah
From
blah,
all
right?
walks of life, from all parts of the planet, from all different spiritual, religious backgrounds, like it's all of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so you have the nature, you have the local community, which for me, from my perspective, 90+% is beautiful and awesome. And then you have the amazing people that are not from here that have made their home here, and you have this sort of mix of developing sort of stuff that has the ingredients. And I think so many of the people here have this dream in their heart of like creating just this absolutely beautiful sort of idyllic community. And obviously it's not that today. We're still on Earth, and we're still figuring all our stuff out as humans and as a species and as a community and everything else. But that is where I think, and I've always, not always actually, there was some times I didn't think that, but where I think that we're headed, and what I want to be involved in, and what I am involved in, and all of us that care about this place and that kind of thing. um and so to be today at hanging out with a couple of guys for a little bit, one of whom I didn't know, two of whom I did, and to see those dynamics of the vision that other people have that I didn't necessarily know they had, but the vision that other people have and who they are, the resources they have, the influence that they have, the bridging of the divide that they can do, and just sort of to see some of that taking shape the way that in a real way, right? Not in like the hey, let's talk about some stuff way, or in the fear way, because that's the other thing, right? It's like there's sort of two things that I'm kind of like and don't usually want to be a part of. And one is people who are up in arms in a fear way, or people who don't actually have the capacity or the means to do any of the things they're going to talk about. So it's just they just want to hear themselves talk, right? So it's just sort of like it's either a waste of time or it's kind of a negative, in my opinion. Versus people who have the energy to and actually want to see it come to fruition, and that's the interest, not like let's get together and talk about it, and also aren't coming from it from a negative fear-based place, to see that sort of taking shape
It's
in
the
a
same
different
coin
way.
too. It's so ironic.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same coin. It's just one side or the other.
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah.
So
Anyway.
I don't know, I just wanted to for people, it's just that's here, like that's here, and it's happening, and we're part of it, and it's beautiful.
It's the human side of it, man. That's really embracing the humanity that's inherent in this culture already, and the mystery and the tradition of this specific area and the history here, and that meld of, it's beautiful, man. It's really cool.
So what do you have to say about Donald Trump? Is it Donald J. Trump? I believe?
Donald John, baby.
John?
Donald John Trump. Well, I mean, listen, if you take your personal bias, character, politics, character, moral judgments out of the picture, and just evaluate and analyze the event that took place, and you've got a political rally that's being live broadcast across the world, including all over the nation. I think it's the only time CNN has even live broadcast a rally of his.
Is that right?
I mean, you could double check me in the comments, guys, but I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you've got that event, and you have Donald Trump nanoseconds away from having his brain matter splattered on live TV, slightly turn his head, take a bullet to the ear, multiple gunshots fired, agents surround him on the ground, stands up, bloody, pounding his fist, saying fight to the crowd chanting, USA! I mean, are you kidding? How much more of a badass, phenomenal, epic moment can you possibly write? I mean, you can't even make it up. That actually happened.
It's like an 80s movie.
It happened. It really happened in front of our eyes. Like, what?
That's interesting that this particular event was live.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about this. Yeah. You know, a lot of interesting things about this one. But that, I mean, so that alone, like, so I have friends, we talk about this stuff on both sides of the political false dichotomy that they won't accept is, and I still entertain it and play games and have fun.
Yep.
Because for me, it's entertainment. Like, again, I unfortunately, in this form of entertainment, people lose their lives, and unfortunately, folks did in this event.
How many people died?
At least one. No, at least two. And I think several others were in critical condition at some point or another. I don't know. I haven't followed how, you know, what the status is or whatever. But that's, you know, we have these experiences, and it's funny because I've got friends that are on the other side of the aisle and that I've known for a long time. I've known these guys since kids. They're, you know, 45-year-old men that, you know, but since we were 5 years old, since they were kids, yeah. And they won't even accept that was a fact. They can't even remove themselves.
Just that the event was like epic.
Wow, no, it's like, no, it was WWF, you know, like Hulk Hogan was at the RNC. He cut his ear. That's why he was down on the ground. He wasn't really shot. I'm just like, wow, like that's it, you know, and you know, they won't even accept.
So is that's like a thing now on the left? It's a staged event?
I think that's a talking point.
It's kind of amazing that it's all, for me, all this stuff is just the great reveal, you know, it's just the man behind the curtain over and over and over again. It's like, hey, look, guys, here I am. But in that vein, like, it's really interesting that in the US, the place where that would never happen, we have accusations of a staged political event for personal gain, you know, for political gain, that in this case it would be the assassination of a president. That's Banana Republic stuff.
Yeah,
that's like,
right.
You know, that's like,
yeah,
right. And
there's the irony.
It might be interesting. Yeah, it's the irony. It might just be interesting for people who think that, and I don't have an opinion. Like, it might be, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. But people who do have that belief, it might be interesting just to ask yourself, like, what that means for sort of the country you live in and where things are at in the world. And like,
yeah, and it goes beyond that in the sense, I mean, you saw leading up to the debate, you know, what was that, a month ago now? I don't even recall how long ago, but, you know, the last debate with Trump and Biden, the talking points, you know, there was questions about Biden's mental capability and his mental health and all of that, his health in general. And it was the talking point of the media that, no, he's fine, he's healthy, he's good, he's sharp as a tack, like, you know, and then you have the debate and people, and it's not like people weren't able to see the things that were questioning.
It seems like they were.
But the media was saying, no, it's nothing. Then the debate happens and it's like, you know, like, okay, yeah, well, maybe. And then it allowed people to say, okay, well, maybe he's not, maybe there is something wrong. And now after this, you know, the assassination attempt, which I believe was an assassination attempt, I don't believe it was a fake thing. You know, now there's all this rhetoric from high-ranking Republican or Democrats that maybe he's unfit for maybe he needs to withdraw. He needs to withdraw.
Yeah,
You know,
it turned on a dime. It's a little strange.
Yeah, well, but is it though? It's not. It's like
Why?
exactly how it should be, right?
Because
Donald
they're
Trump
taking their lead from.
Because Donald Trump lived. If Donald Trump's brains are blown off on national TV, Biden's president again.
Oh, but the level, I don't know if it's above or below that. You mean is that people are taking their cues from the media, from the
exactly. Yeah,
I see. So right, because then they need a new horse.
They need a new horse, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. Since you obviously, I haven't paid it. You know, I pay less attention than you do. I have my ideas about it, but not so much on this level. But you're someone who I deeply respect your capacity to think things through in a very logical and sort of taking into account not only all the factors but like deep stuff that so there's not a lot of people that I like would go to and know that okay, they factored all this stuff in. You're one of those people. So since it sounds like you have an opinion, I'd love to flesh a little bit of this out.
No boy.
So
all right, put the comments below, guys. Trolls below, bring it.
Yeah, well, and let's preface by saying, you're not a Trump supporter. I know that you're not a Trump supporter. And I know that you're also like apolitical. Like you're not someone who buys into the whole kind of dog and pony show.
Right.
So I guess that's important for people to know as well.
Right.
But
I mean, I would also preface that in your latter point, I'm not any politician supporter.
Right. Yeah. So okay, so here's some questions I have. I'm years removed from like paying any attention to any of this stuff.
Yeah.
If this was 10 years ago, like I'd know everything right now about it. But I've moved on. But so here's some questions I have. So if it was a real event, which I kind of for some reason think too, but I don't have any idea. But if it was a real event, then there has to have been some sort of stand down order given or some sort of
inside job.
There had to be some sort of the guy who's like, I watched this. I think I might have sent it to you. I came across some footage of like spectators, like they're just kind of like, hey, there's a guy with a gun. What's he doing up there? Like,
there's so much. There's so much. Everybody's got a cell phone these days, man. Yeah. There's so much footage. So I'd love to understand that aspect, and I'd love to understand how he missed. Like, if he was, does that mean that he's just some crazy who they allowed to like carry out his plan? There's some great speculation.
Or does that, because if he's like a government operative that knows what he's doing, forget it. I mean, he goes 150 yards away. He's not going to miss.
Anyway.
Well, it's divine intervention if we're going there.
I mean, you turn your head.
He did.
It's a millisecond where his head turned like that. And if he wouldn't have turned his head, the bullet goes through his brain.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's what they're saying. I don't have any idea if that's true.
I mean, they showed. There's some speculation that we could share. But anyway.
So I'm curious about on those 2 points. Well, let's start there.
All right, but let me go back really quick. Back to the point I was going to make that I didn't actually complete with the banana. You mentioned the Banana Republic, event. If it was staged, and the reason I brought up the perception of Biden as a candidate, as a viable candidate, and then all of a sudden that's changed. People aren't even considering, like, well, wait a second, this was the guy that they chose not to have democratic debates, remember? Like, they chose not to let him debate RFK, because RFK would have destroyed him, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but so that he's the Democratic candidate. Now all of a sudden, Trump lives, and he's not a viable candidate. So now they're literally going to find a way to remove him from the ticket.
Which had been, sorry.
But the most popular ticket ever in history, you're just going to remove him from the Democratic convention?
Right.
Like, wait a second, which one is it, right? Is it a Banana Republic or not? This is the most popular ticket ever in American history.
Yeah, by far.
And you're just going to take him off the ballot now because, interesting.
Right. So, right. Right, which brings up the whole 2020 election and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all just funny. But yeah, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of speculation about whether he would run or not for years. And yeah, it is a little strange. Again, I don't have a horse in the race, but like it is a little strange. People couldn't see. I mean, couldn't see. Like I can't imagine they couldn't see.
Well,
But his mental capacity, going all the way back. I mean, going back to the year or two leading up to when he was elected.
yeah, I think part of it though, man, is we're not giving enough credit to how people live in the matrix. You've been so out of the matrix for so long. People in the United States and Canada and Europe, people that are in that system, in that grind, man, they don't have time to do their research, to watch. You know, they're working their 9 to 5s, they're taking their kids, they're going shopping, keep doing their chore, you know, they're keeping their house up, all that stuff. They got 20 minutes, 30 minutes to flip on the news.
Yeah, but see, I don't watch any of it.
Well, right.
All I saw is like 30 seconds on some random thing. I'm, maybe scrolling something.
Yeah.
And I just see like, oh, he's falling down the stairs again, or he can't keep a train of thought, or he can't get off stage correctly.
You got some dogs barking at you, bro. Yeah.
So it didn't, like, you just have to see it once. And you're like, oh, that's an Alzheimer's patient.
But here's the thing, man, that with the way the social media algorithm works, and you've said this before, you're scrolling, you're getting things that you want to see. So,
sure.
so folks, some folks that are in that matrix are seeing stuff. Again, we've said this before as well. Like they showed the same thing. Donald Trump stumbling on a word. Donald Trump calling somebody else the wrong name. Oh, well, no, it's actually he's the one. Donald Trump is Hitler. Donald Trump is this.
But yeah,
so people get that stuff. So, but it doesn't. When you only have so much time, and if you're going to the most trusted news and name and news, and you're watching your 30-minute nightly news or whatever, you're getting a different message.
If that's all you get, sure.
Right, so that's all you get. So then it's...
but if you watched him in a debate, if you watched him do anything,
Well, right, but they hadn't up until that point.
No, I mean the last round.
The last debate wasn't terrible. He wasn't actually bad.
I mean, I don't watch any of it. But,
yeah, and that last debate he was fiery.
I want to make a quick point about off topic, but related if I can remember it well. But so it's not me, it's him.
Yeah.
I love this on all levels.
Yeah.
So if you look at it in the political arena, it's like the playbook.
Yeah,
it's like you accuse the other side of what you're doing.
Totally.
But you know what I've discovered in my personal development life, which is the only thing that matters to me, my spiritual process, is that anything you think the other person's doing in your relationship or in your life, it's just an aspect of you that you're looking at. It's just a part of you that's being revealed to you. I find that freaking fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Like I've seen that over and over again, both in the sense that you watch someone else doing it, but also from the sense that you do it and realize, the thing that I'm so angry that this person does is actually in some level, in some way, something that I'm doing or something that I do or.
And we've been getting signs and signals of that for millennia, maybe generations. I mean, that's some of the profound genius of Michael Jackson, right? I mean, because I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
I think this.
I'm just saying, man.
It's true.
It's true, right? It's.
I think that is not the first time you've sung that song on this pod.
I mean, it's a profound song.
I mean, it kind of is a profound song.
Yeah.
All right, so
Anyway.
Back to our guy here.
Our guy. Which one?
Whoever.
Okay.
Okay. So give me the, if you want to, if you don't, it's fine.
Yeah.
Give me the 5 minute, 10 at the most, 3 at the least.
Wow,
Summary,
lots of parameters.
Summary, lots of parameters. Brandon's summary of what may or may not have taken place.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, there's lots of speculation, man. Lots of speculation because we don't have information. We don't know. There's lots of, I would say, evidence to suggest there was more than one shooter.
Oh, really?
for
Okay.
one. There's evidence to suggest
The
that
grassy knoll was there a grassy knoll?
there was a water tower, and there was other things, man. There's, the
There's a water tower.
yeah. There's just aspects to what you would expect. The security, an agent. You don't even have to be a military officer, agent, special agent, Secret Service to understand to look at an aerial map of a scenario, of a situation, that you are there to protect a certain person from harm, to know where some strategic things are. So there were some lapses in some of that don't seem that the official story is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trajectory of bullets are potentially different. They've done.
Okay. So it's right back to the JFK stuff.
They have done audio analysis
Mm-hmm.
with of the bullets, and there's
Back into the
yeah. Well, yeah. It's just like there's that are suggesting that there's a shooter from much further away.
Mm.
And then when you look into the I mean, I think the kid was a patsy. He's a 20-year-old. There's suggestions out there now that he was a transgender, and that he's he's a liberal, hardcore liberal that actually hates Trump, that only registered Republican to vote for Nikki Haley. Who knows? I don't know.
Was he actually on the roof, do you think?
No, there's pictures of him on the roof. There's videos of this kid on the roof.
So you think he was on the roof?
I think he was on the roof, and I think he has a gun because you can see it in there, but it's behind the, so there's tons of speculation on protocol to take the first shot, to not, to who's responsible where.
Yeah.
But
if spectators in the crowd are seeing the kid, then certainly the security apparatus.
Spectators in the crowd, shots were clearly fired on Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
The one that hit his ear, they're speculating that's the bullet that killed. That killed the firefighter. It took a headshot.
Here's one for you real quick.
Yeah.
Why always, every single time when there's an event like this, they use their middle name also? Right. Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah,
What's this kid's name?
I don't even remember.
But they immediately use his middle name. When there's a murder on your nightly news, they say,
right,
Ray Johnson killed such and so. They don't say his middle name.
Right. Yeah, it is strange.
It's strange.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that don't add. If you take 5 seconds to look into it, there's lots of things that don't.
Yeah.
The official story doesn't make sense, and again, it's one of those things where I keep telling buddies that it doesn't matter. We're probably never going to actually know what actually happened, but just by looking at all this together, that it smells like. So you don't need to know what happened to know that there's here that happened, right? Something that doesn't make sense happened.
Yeah.
So all you have to know is that that's the facts, right? The facts are that this isn't some 20-year-old kid that just happened to sneak on a roof in a perfect line of sight, got crawled around,
Gets seen by everyone, crawl around.
Right, has videos and gets to shoot Donald Trump. And almost, no, man, that's probably not what happened.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that right, for me, it's all the man behind the curtain. So it's like, the thing for me, it's like, again, you said it doesn't matter. And on one level, everything matters. And on one level, nothing matters.
What doesn't matter?
No, you were just used that phrase, that nothing matters.
Well, it doesn't matter in knowing the detail on what specifically happened.
Yeah, no, you were referring to whatever you were referring to.
Okay.
I'm just saying you said that phrase that I want to go off of. Like, on one level in life, I'm just talking about, everything really matters a lot. And in one level, it really, nothing matters. It's kind of another interesting duality, dichotomy of Earth. But, where was I going with that? Nothing matters. Donald Trump got shot. It's back to, like, you're never going to vote your way to anything significant in your life, in the sense of, like, I mean, I don't know. We'd have to even define what people's goals are. I mean, is it just to have more money? Is it to have more time with your family? Is it happiness? Is it spiritual growth? Is it, helping people, service? Like, I guess we'd have to define people's goals to even talk about that really well. But like, that's really the point for me. Whoever's president, whatever takes place, it might affect you a little bit in some ways, in the sense of like your taxes could go up or down, or or there could be more immigrants or less immigrants, or abortion could be legal or illegal or whatever, right? Like there's some stuff that on the margins of your life could affect you. But what does that like actually mean for your life on Earth? Like what does that actually mean as a human being living their life? What it does a great job of is getting people very upset and very angry at one another.
And very distracted.
Exactly. Very, very distracted. So, if you're someone who thinks that there was an assassination attempt against Trump, and you're up in arms and you're going to buy guns because you're ready for the Civil War and all that, you're losing. If you're someone who thinks that this was a staged event for Trump, that he faked it, and and it was just to get him elected, and you're ready to leave the country if he gets elected, and you're so angry, and if President Biden doesn't get elected, you're gonna die. If you're that person, you're losing. Like so I don't know, man. It's like, it's interesting, right? It's like all this stuff's interesting. Like we can look at events and have an interest in them.
Yeah.
Like, like you look at them a little more than I do. So I like talking to you about them because I can get the synopsis from someone who actually has the factors factored in. So I like that. But like beyond sort of, as you said, the entertainment of it, or the lessons in it, maybe,
Right. There's both of those.
Lessons. Yeah.
Well, and it signs like you can kind of, once you kind of look at it from a different perspective versus the false dichotomy of, two-party politics and the divisiveness of that, then you can kind of see where things are going and what, it's going to get more wild. People think, nobody's expecting this. It's going to get more wild than this, man. Like,
yeah.
Trump's protected, so, they had a chance. They had a shot. I mean, they actually had
no pun intended.
I mean, it's wild. It's wild, but that was, we'd be living in a whole different world if Donald Trump was, we're talking about his funeral today versus no, he got his ear nicked and he looked like a badass, with the crowd. The crowd not dispersing, there for him,
what
right?
Was that? What's the World War II iconic photo where they're raising the flag and the Japanese Hiroshima? No,
I don't
remember.
remember. Yeah, I know John.
It was like that kind
of. It is kind of like that, right? And that triggers people. That alone triggers people, right? So, but you have a whole different world, and now you have to understand, like the next period, next few months up to the election is going to be. There's going to be more. Like, just wait, what's happening next, right? And then the people that want to make Trump an idol, like he's this. Oh, now he was touched by God. He was saved by God. Listen, I think he was protected for a reason, and I think God gave us all free will. And there's, we've talked about this. Trump is playing a role to some extent. But he's not the savior coming back, right? And so that's people that are putting him there on that he's touched by the hand of God, okay, like just be careful what you're setting yourself up for, because no matter who's president over the next 4 years, there's going to be some big things that are going to happen to the way of life and the way we look at life in the United States. Yeah. When you consider the global liquidity trends and all that stuff, stuff we talked about before, those chickens are coming home to roost, and it doesn't matter who's president, that's going to have to deal with some of that stuff. Yeah. So and it's not going to get less wild from here. Get your popcorn ready, as they say.
Yeah, it comes back to, for me, like that point you're making. It comes back to the self-responsibility, conversation or not. It's like, how much are you willing and do you want to be responsible for every aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that a little bit earlier in terms of this place. It demands a higher degree of that.
Yep.
I like that
Mm-hmm.
because the things you're referring to then don't affect me in the same way.
Right.
Like if there are issues with the currency, with the debt markets, with the dollar, you know, with whatever issues there are. If there's a freaking civil war because you know Donald Trump gets shot, you know,
right,
or whatever happens, right? The degree to which you kind of are going to be in a crappy situation where you need a wake-up call from that is the degree that you're going to experience that wake-up call.
Right.
So, you know, you know, again, instead of, you know, living and dying and focusing and wasting your energy on, you know, who wins or loses an election, which, by the way, people have been doing forever. Like, forever. Like, you know, the person that's on their deathbed, like, or the person that died and is, you know, they're unembodied and they're looking down and they're like, I think I spent a little too much time,
right.
You know, like, worrying about who was like, this is not what it's all about. But, yeah, but that's self-responsibility, or that sort of being in charge, being responsible for your existence, for your life. And it kind of goes back to another thing we talked about in some episodes sometime about I made myself laugh. I forgot what I was saying, but what was it? Self-responsibility, taking charge of your life. You're distracting me. You're not helping. Oh damn! I forgot. It'll come to me in a minute, but. Yeah, so I don't know. So again, like for me, you know, and again, there's no judgment whatsoever.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
For me, for my life, for what I want for my kids, for what I want for my, you know, experience on Earth, I want the greatest degree of freedom and control over what I can do and how that works. I want it to be human to human. I want you deciding what's okay with you and not.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want the rules.
So stop playing footsie with me.
Deciding. We haven't reacted, so clearly it's okay with you. Right? Versus like the regulate everything to death and make this very sterile, very rule-based society where if the structures break down, watch out.
Yeah.
Right? Versus a place where the structures only sort of exist as it is.
Right. So, yeah. And that's what's interesting, man, like with the politics, because, you know, we get the lessons from the ants and the grasshopper. We've talked about this fable for many episodes we've talked about this, but it's part of the dichotomy of the false dichotomy of two-party politics is to keep the grasshoppers angry, divisive, you know, busy, you know, so that they can't think, they don't have the time, stressed, so that they can't think through stuff, they can't make decisions, they can't exit the matrix, they can't do something different. So that's the way it's supposed to, that's the way it's programmed, that's what it's supposed to be. So, you know, folks that are there, if this continues in a way, like, all right, I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but I do believe that the 2020 election was stolen. I believe there's enough evidence when you look at it. I don't care that the court said no court case got through. I've seen enough evidence, enough firsthand for me personally to believe that there was chicanery there, that was stolen, that was not on the up and up. Now, if that's possible, which I believe it is and was, that and the fact that these things don't add up for the attempted assassination of Trump, it wouldn't surprise me to, you know, if there's the next thing is even crazier, right? Like, okay, who's next? Who, if Biden does step out, is it Big Mike? Is it Newsom? Is it, you know, who knows who it is? But whoever it is, if they
just say it was Big Mike, just slip that in there, huh?
Is it
just, you know, I was paying attention.
I was seeing, yeah, you're on your phone. But imagine. I'm glad you kept your politics. A scenario. I don't have, but that's the thing. I know, it's entertainment. They don't know that, but whatever. It doesn't matter. They're going to judge me anyway. So,
that's right.
But the a scenario where they steal again. Can you imagine? This time, if somehow the Democrat Party in the United States steals the election this time in 2024, there's going to be a violent uprising, in my opinion. That's where you see your civil war. And that's the part where people say, well, that would take the military and police to be involved. Yeah, it would. And Trump would be reinstated again. Like, in my opinion, like that's where that could happen. Like, but that's where those are timelines that exist, man.
Yeah.
And that would be an ugly place to be in the United States to live through that, man.
Yeah.
That's a wild thing. And things are going to get more wild and more wild for a period of time here that I don't know if people are really digesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think through the scenarios the same way. But again, I've watched you long enough to respect your process and your track record on that. But I certainly agree with the overall conclusion or direction of things. And it's nice to be in a place where you don't have to worry about that. At least in the same way. I mean, or hardly at all, but.
And I get to troll. Like, do you know I get to troll? Like, I get to wear, because the people they're gonna watch, some people they're gonna see that part, and they're gonna be like, Hulk Hogan was at the RNC. That clown, he's wearing a Macho Man Savage wrestler. And it's so funny. And I get to, I just get to sit here and say, yeah.
I think you just kind of did that in the Hulk Hogan voice.
That's right. Trumpomania! Hulkamania!
Wait, he was at what? Hulk Hogan?
He was at the Republican National. I didn't watch any of it.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
It's not as entertaining for you as the debate?
No, the debate's entertaining. I mean, I'm sure this was entertaining, but it's 4 days of this. Like, I don't have 4 days to listen listen to him talk. I mean, I've seen like a clip of Hogan ripping his shirt that was on and this and that.
But that's the whole thing, right? Like and we'll hear just to great song, by the way, but just to sort of put a little bit of perspective on this, the idea that these kinds of things couldn't happen is absurd,
right?
Because they've happened over and over again all over the world, gazillions of times, including in the U.S.
Right.
And then, and it's also just funny going back to the Banana Republic point, where it's like, we had a presidential candidate assassinated here in Ecuador, which was totally tragic, whatever that was, a year ago. And, we just had the president of the United States, shot at or hit even, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, it's, again, right, it's if the politics, the structures, politics being one of them, they have to break down. They have to, and the reason that they have to is because people need to see that the power is not outside themselves. People need to see that it's all BS. It's all just a show. And so what you're seeing on all levels, right? You mentioned the election and the validity or not of elections in general. Because the political left, quote unquote, whatever this means, but like the political left, right? And you made this point also previously, but the political left, was very up in arms in 2000 over that election, thinking it was stolen essentially. Now the political right, whatever that means, is very up in arms over the 2020 election. I don't know. From my perspective, they both might be right.
right, exactly.
Now, again, I don't know that it matters. Like, I don't,
it matters in the sense that you're seeing a peek behind the curtain of institutions, or
right, exactly,
or foundations, or these pillars of your belief system that you're seeing. That you're seeing.
No, they're there.
Yeah.
In the words of Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
As he was in the closet with Monica. I mean, this is like, again, that's another peek behind the curtain. Like, none of it's real. It's all facade. Like,
it's amazing.
It is.
It's super entertaining, man, and that's the hard part, because unfortunately people do lose their lives because of this game and this, this movie that we're watching in real life. I mean, it's like James Bond meets Mission Impossible meets the Terminator in real life, and we're watching it, we're part of it, and
No, and I I have my, uh, you know, they're not addictions is the wrong word, but I have my stuff that I stay connected also. I mean, we
Yeah.
were just talking about the Mets before this.
Hmm.
I'm gonna play fantasy football this year.
You are.
I don't sit there every Sunday anymore and watch football all day like I used to.
Right.
But I still have my connections to that world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think I think there's the point of life isn't to just suffer,
no.
right? So
Well, I don't think it's
it's, I mean,
there's lessons in suffering. I don't think the point of life is necessarily to suffer at all.
agreed.
Yeah.
Right. So
Although it seems to be how we learn the best.
we do learn. We do. I mean, some of us do, I guess. Some people don't,
Right.
Um,
Well, that's why they keep suffering worse and worse and worse because they haven't learned yet.
right. Perhaps. Yeah. But I just think that there's, part of what's fun about being alive is fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's finding joy, it's finding the silver linings, it's seeing things from the bright side. Again, that's not in a naive way. It sounds so silly to say that, and it's not easy to do that, but to really do that and live that. And again, we're not here that long. We don't get to be here long. So be stressed, be drained, be divisive, be angry, be upset. Okay, well, that's how you get to spend your time doing that.
Yep.
Trying to be angry at things and people that you have literally zero control over. Or you can laugh at it, you can have some fun, you can make some decisions in your life knowing that actually impact your life to give you a different life, to give you a different way to do life, how to do life. And then that in return gives you less stress, less anger, more time to work on yourself, more time to spend on the man in the mirror or woman in the mirror. Like that's it. But you got to take the step, and you have to, kind of understand that ant and grasshopper parable and decide, I don't need all the ants to leave with me. I can walk away from the grasshoppers on my own.
Yeah, that's another trap. Thinking it needs to be this collective. We all.
Yeah.
That's how they suckered us into democracy.
Right. They've tricked us to believe that, that's the way out. And the whole conspiracy thing, again, I tilt more towards the things aren't generally what they seem more often than not in a lot of cases. I think truth is the easiest thing to see. I think it's the clearest and easiest thing to see. But if you want to, and I think that humans, men and women, that want to manipulate, want to control, conspiracies don't need to be, well, thousands and thousands of people are involved to make this conspiracy act. If that was true, then thousands of people are involved, right? If this was an inside job on Trump, for example, then thousands. No, that's not true. And there's some researchers that studied that in the werewolf game. We've talked about this before, but it's a great point because, the werewolf game or the survival game, I forget what it's called, but it's essentially it's a group of people that they've proven over, no matter how many times they add more people to these scenarios and to these tests, the same outcome keeps happening. So let's say it's a group of 30 people. There's 2 people that they designate werewolves, and the rest are villagers, right? Mm-hmm. And the villagers don't know who are the werewolves. The werewolves obviously know who who the werewolves are, because they're the 2 werewolves, right? And the point is that they're trying to kill all the villagers before the villagers can find out who the 2 werewolves are. That's the whole point of the game. And it doesn't matter how many more villagers they add, the 2 werewolves win the experiment almost every single time, right? So the reason that's important, I think, for people to understand when they think about, a conspiracy at this level would need thousands of people. No, it actually doesn't. It just needs a few people and then a lot of useful idiots. you
Order
know,
followers.
and order followers and
Yeah.
rule followers, right? Exactly.
People don't question anything.
Yeah.
Do
So
what they're told.
yeah, I don't know. It's just
No,
interesting.
it's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, before we wrap,
Yeah.
two.
We're gonna get it on this one, man.
Yes, we are.
Oof.
That's okay. Two. Two anecdotes that I just want to share.
Yeah.
All right. So on Monday of last week, I believe it was. So I'm doing a process to subdivide some land in a different canton. That's in the canton of Gonzanama, which is about an hour and a half away from here.
Just past Puranuma.
That's great, buddy.
Right.
That's right. And beautiful area, beautiful. Yeah. Anyways, doing this subdivision, and this was a property that I had purchased for a project, and immediately after I purchased it, they had changed all the rules in the municipio and made subdividing impossible. Literally, like it had. Anyways, this put me in a bad spot. I've been trying to sort this out for quite some time now, and finally got a way to do it. So I've been dealing with this process. And it's been adventurous.
Nice.
And so I get a call. I get summoned. Well, no, sorry. So I'm supposed to go. They want me to approve the subdivision, essentially the design, right? Which I've done anyways. But there's some parameters. There's some small changes. So I keep saying to the guy, I'm like, can we just do this on a Zoom call? And this guy's an engineer. No, sorry, he's a lawyer. The lady who's doing this, needs the approval, is an architect, and then her husband is an engineer. So these are all professionals.
They know how to use
they
Zoom.
have degrees. They know how to use Zoom and computers, and well, everyone here knows how to do all that. Well, not everyone, but most people. So I'm like, hey, like, great. Like, he wants me to like approve, and I'm like, can we just jump on a Zoom call? I just want to see what it is, and boom, right? So he's like, yes, he's like, I'll get back to you. We'll do the Zoom call. I don't hear from him. I check in with another person who's kind of handling it for me, and she's, anyways, eventually I get summoned for a meeting in Gonzanama. It's an hour and a half. Like, me driving, it's an hour and a half.
So it's good 2 hours.
It's 2 hours, yeah. So, so I get summoned to Gonzanama, and it was the day of the march that they had in Vilcabamba.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go to the march. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to get some content.
We were coming back from Cuenca.
Yeah. So I really didn't want to go. But I didn't. I know how these things work here. You just kind of have to go with the flow. You just have to like do what You just got to do it the way people do it here. So, okay. So I ended up having a very turbulent day that day, and I end up needing to go with my 3-year-old to Gonzanama. He gets car sick and throws up sometimes.
Is that why my truck smells like that?
Ha ha ha. He's tired. It's like a whole thing. So this is not ideal.
Yeah.
So I drive to Gonzanama. Of course, I'm a little late. I drive to Gonzanama. I get there. I go in. They show me option A, B, C.
Oh no.
They go A, B, C, and I forgot a piece. I had already told them how I wanted it. So I had already gotten on the phone and be like, hey, if we just move this line here, good. Right? I had already told them that. So I get there, they show me option A, B, C. None of them are the ones that I said, but they're all close enough. None of them are very different at all.
Yeah.
Option A, B, C. I'm like, okay, well, let me see the original so I could see the difference. Okay, I saw. Then I said, okay, well, if we just move this line here, can we do it that way? Yes. Great. Okay, thanks.
No.
It was very pleasant.
Sure.
Lovely people.
Perfect for a Zoom call.
You know where we met? In that same little cafeteria that we ate.
Oh, no kidding.
That's where we
Sweet.
met.
It's a good place.
We kissed hello. We kissed goodbye. We did the normal thing. And me and my 3-year-old had a empanada verde.
Oh, those are good.
And headed
they do
back.
Them well, that place.
Headed back home, but. This is just, I wanted to give this anecdote. It's just so indicative of life here. You got to slow down. You got to relax. You got to roll with the punches. You got to do it the way they do it. Now, could I have insisted on the Zoom call? Absolutely. And would that have been fine? Yes. But now I know the lady. She knows me. They're clear. There's no gray area. There's no confusion.
Sure.
It took 4 hours of my life, 4 or 5 hours of
You
my
missed
life.
the
I missed the march, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to live here successfully,
Right.
that has to be okay.
Yep. Here's your sign.
One last one. So, I've lived here now 12 years. One thing you don't deal with here, again, is like rules and regulations that drive you crazy, and the lack of humanity that drives you crazy. So, for example, at Aeroregional, the local airline, if you buy a ticket and you want to change to another, you just call them and change it. There's no fee.
Right.
If you try to do it a second time, there's a fee, but there's no fee. That's kind of just life here, even right. So even an airline, like they don't have a ticket change fee. That's unheard of, right? You don't deal with customer service, right? So I had a flashback recently. So a few days ago. So I'm trying to buy tickets to go to the States. I'm trying to use my Banco de Loja debit card to buy these tickets. It says it's rejected on the website, but now my Banco de Loja got charged.
Oh.
So I call Banco de Loja, and that's, again, you're not calling an 800 number. You're calling your friend who takes care of you at the bank. Yeah. It's not a small bank either. No. It's probably got 15, 20 branches, and I'm more than that actually probably. I'm calling Banco de Loja. I call Liliana, and hey, this is what happened. Okay, she'll look into it. So she looks into it. She gets back to me. She says, "Yeah, I see it." She's like, "But they have the money. There's nothing we can do. Like, you got to call them and explain and have them, whatever." Okay, so I call Priceline, which is who I bought the tickets for, and they're very nice, by the way. Great customer service at Priceline. Call Priceline. They not because of this, because of the experience I had after this, but. They say, okay, well, we see it, yeah, and part of it was refunded, and we see it, but they're like, well, unfortunately this isn't us. They're like, this is what was it, Avianca, right? Avianca has your money. You got to call them. Okay. So I'm calling Avianca now. Avianca, this is really bad. So first of all, the two numbers they had on Priceline for Avianca didn't work, and then I finally found a number just by Googling it. I found a number on Avianca for Avianca that works. There's something wrong with their phone system. It just hangs up on you. Oh, like, you call. One time I'm on hold for like 15, 20 minutes, and then it says your business is important to us. Please, would you be open for a survey to tell us how our customer service was today? I haven't talked to anyone yet. So I literally called, and then they hung up on me. I literally called 5-6 times more, maybe, without speaking to anyone. And I tried everything. I'm like, okay, I'll just hit 0. Then they hung up on me. Okay, I'll tell them I want to buy tickets. They must want to talk to me. Didn't work. Over and over. So finally, I gave up that day. I call back the next day when my frustration level was lower. I call back, and anyways, I go through what we all know very well if we live elsewhere, is the horrible, tedious, disgusting process of being on a freaking customer service call with a corporation, in this case a Latino corporation, so I'm not gonna lie, it's worse, I think. With a corporation who could care less about solving your problem. And there's no humanity. There's no hello. It's just a very and yeah. I mean, I just, anyways. So I went through this. It was horrible and not fun, and it gave me flashbacks to life in the U.S. I used to do this all the time. You're calling DirecTV, you're calling the cable company, you're calling this company, that company for some problem or some refund or something they screwed up. And you're 15 minutes on hold, and then you're talking to someone who doesn't care and isn't listening to what you have to say.
And then if they have to come to your house, they give you a 4-hour window.
Right. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I have not had a single call like this in 12 years. And how nice that is.
Yeah.
That is so nice. But the problem's still not resolved.
Oh, no kidding.
I've subsequently sent an email, and we'll see if this ever gets resolved or not.
So weird.
But yeah,
So do you know what the issue was yet or not?
I mean, I think part of the charge just went through and they just didn't fix it. I don't know. But
Weird.
Yeah. But anyways, it's just a massive difference for me. So it was representative of just the difference in life here. If that happened here, like you would just go to the office and you'd be like, hey,
Right.
and you'd have a human conversation. Everyone would be nice, and you'd fix the
Let's figure it
problem.
out. Yeah.
You'd figure it out. It might be laborious.
Right.
It might take time.
longer.
Yeah. But there wouldn't be any it wouldn't be upsetting.
Right.
Whereas back home you're basically talking to a robot who could care less most of the time, not always, but most of the time, and it's life sucking. It's like it's awful.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's great, man.
yeah,
It's another good reason that you're, or that's a sign from the universe that you're meant to be here,
sure,
right?
yes, Avianca.
And if you're still here and you like this content, give us a thumbs up, man.
I
And
think this might be the time I apologize.
if you're unsubscribed to the channel, why? Please subscribe. It helps us out. We'd love for you to be subscribers.
We reduced to begging.
Please. And if you're interested in visiting Vilcabamba, we'd love to see you down here one day.
I can't say that because check out our retreat.
Oh, you want to go to there?
I guess.
Let's go there. If you're interested in visiting this area, we've got a retreat coming up in October.
12th, I want to say.
Yeah. And it's a cool experience.
No, it's amazing.
We've put out a ton of content from our previous retreat, so check that out on the channel. You can see a playlist. I think I don't even remember what the playlist is called.
Probably.
Google retreats, you'll find it.
Don't Google retreats.
Or search retreats within our channel.
Yeah. And there is, we're not only goofballs. Like, there is a level of professionalism. Brandon actually comes from high-level financial services world. I was actually a real estate investor in New York for many years. We actually have our crap together. I won't swear. You swore twice today. We actually have our stuff together. Yeah. We have our stuff together, very well. And this retreat is absolutely amazing. Check out the reviews. Check out the reviews on Google Maps, on WeTravel. All those links are below. Check out the videos, as Brandon said, on the YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. You have a great experience. You're going to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to get the real deal, actually on the ground, no BS, scoop on life here. And you're also going to go home with every aspect of information that you could ever want from sources that are actually credible. Not us always. I'm talking about professionals who handle that aspect of life in Ecuador. Yeah. You're gonna get all of that. So it's a beautiful time, comfortable accommodations, great food, etc. We'd love to see you. Honestly, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and check out the videos. That really gives you an insight a peek behind the curtain on what they're like, what other people think of them. The reviews are there. But you definitely, at the very least, what you're going to walk away with is you're going to walk away with an adventure, lots of amazing experiences, and you're going to have all the information you need to make a decision to determine whether life for you is the next chapter in Vilcabamba or in Ecuador. So definitely check that out. Now can we do it?
We can do it.
All right. Hope to see you down here one day, guys.
Until then,
we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
Ciao, guys.
Anyone ready?
Let's do it, baby.
Is this Randy Savage? Is that who that is?
It is.
Who says I don't know? Says I don't know, bro.
What's his real name?
Ronaldo Savigi?
Ronaldo Pafo. Randy Pafo.
Is that really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, macho man.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Rip. Dude, you could have been saying that to your boy.
Who's my boy?
Nanoseconds away from saying R.I.P.
Oh, Donald?
To your boy.
I guess, yeah. All right. See? Sí, señor.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, the sun's coming out. Feels good.
My R's are going to roll one day.
Yeah? You've been saying that for
next
11 and a half years.
It's hard, bro. Oh, gosh. Now the sun comes out.
That feels good.
It's going to make me hot. I'm going to have to take off my sweatshirt, shirt.
There's some clouds. So
and I'm going to muffle.
It'll go between the clouds and So you'll feel good for a bit, warm up, and then it'll go behind the
Into
clouds.
light of the firmament. It's a great song.
It is a great song.
Is this the song that you were telling me is not the Beatles that I thought was the Beatles? Or is that a different one?
The song that's playing right now?
Yeah. Blackbird fly.
Oh, this is the Beatles.
It
Blackbird
is
is
the
the
Beatles.
Beatles.
So what was
yeah.
that other song?
That was
It's like a similar motif.
Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it was. And who was that?
I don't recall from this moment, but it's not the Beatles.
That's a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Quarter
Mets.
podcast.
We can.
Mets are back in action
Dude,
tonight.
the Mets. They're going to make a move? They're going to add?
They're in an interesting conundrum on the add subtract front. Because, they're not really, not that I watch any team other than the Mets, so I don't really know. But the consensus seems to be they're not a World Series contender.
Yeah.
Especially given the fact they don't have a single good starting pitcher. Or, they have Diaz seems to be back, but outside of Diaz, they don't have a single good reliever either.
They got Garrett. They got this kid in the minors.
Yeah, they seem to have some guys in the minors people like.
Yeah.
But
they need pitchers. They're getting Senga back. They're getting Senga back soon.
And they're getting someone else. Who's there? One other guy, I forget. But you don't want to hurt the farm system for a like first round exit.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it's wild card exit, isn't it?
Yeah, but look, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers were in the World Series last year.
I know, and the Rangers didn't have the guy from the Mets, the pitcher, DeGrom.
DeGrom was not there.
Or someone else, I think, as well.
I think Scherzer was there.
Wait, Scherzer and DeGrom both went from the Mets to the Rangers? That's hilarious. DeGrom, I wanted back.
Yeah, but you think those teams are on the. I think they're on the outside looking in at the playoffs right now at the All-Star break, right? That just goes to show you, like, your team can get hot, get in there. They've got enough talent in baseball. If they add a top line starter, there's some good players available at this All-Star break.
Yeah, but are you going to take go ahead.
Well,
they have some good prospects. Like, are you going to take those guys and jettison them for a rental?
Yeah, but how many prospects have panned out
for the Mets? Zero.
Yeah. So
I was listening to something the other day. They said they had a ranking, some kind of ranking of like prospect development.
Yeah.
But it was a statistical ranking. It wasn't like an opinion.
Yeah.
It was like somehow they compared draft status to like making the majors or something like that, and they had a statistical analysis. The Mets were dead last in baseball.
Oh man!
Over like a significant period of time.
You know what's sad about that is that I just saw a stat that showed revenues, 2023 revenues generated per team, and then 2024 payroll. And the Mets had a relatively high revenue. I mean, maybe middle of the pack revenue, but they were using by far the most percentage of their revenue to payroll, like by far.
Oh.
Like almost, I think it was like 87, 90%.
You almost like that.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, it's sad that they have an owner that's willing to do that, but they haven't got this other piece right. You know, because then you have teams like the Cubs who, you know, have generated all this revenue and like 30% of it is going to payroll, you know, and they actually have a good farm system now. They have a awesome, you know.
That's no longer the guy that came over from the Red Sox, right?
No, it's his protege, Jed Hoyer. Yeah. Theo's long gone, man. What a dream life
these days?
I mean, whatever he wants. I mean, the guy that single-handedly constructs and builds the Red Sox and the Cubs and stops the curse. Are you kidding?
Wow.
This one guy did that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Baseball's
fun, man.
Dude, it's fun to play. I mean, when I was a kid, my whole life, baseball was the thing.
Yeah. They don't play it much here in Ecuador, man.
Out of 162 Mets games for probably like 10 or 15 years, I know I would catch 155 of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've been watching. I watched the All-Star game. I've been watching some. Quinn's interested, so
no, I've been watching the Mets.
I'm
Like
showing.
not
Yeah,
every day or anything,
yeah,
but
same.
I've been watching.
Package works.
I'm like one of those fans that I hated when I was younger, where like if they're winning and they're good, I'll like
Oh,
tune
then
in.
I'll watch.
Yeah, and if
Right.
they like lose 4 or 5 in a row and they start to suck, like I don't want to
It's
know
funny.
anything about it.
You got your Mets hat on today.
Yeah,
They win 18-7 over the last 25.
I think they're the best team in baseball over the last like month and a half or something.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Dude, it'd be interesting. Like baseball's changed now too, where the All-Star break and those 2 weeks, the 10 or whatever days it is now between now and the trade deadline, they actually trade now. Remember, for our whole lives, like teams never or very rarely moved players, and now and if they did, it was like,
Really?
yeah,
There wasn't like I felt like there was a few guys every year that like.
yeah.
No?
But now there's like a flurry, and there's teams are willing to take that risk.
I remember in 1990, was it 2 or 3? It was either 1992 or 3. The Blue Jays, I had to be at the deadline. Hopefully I remember this correctly. Got Dave Winfield from the Angels late in his career, or
I don't remember
the
where it was.
Padres. I mean, he played for a lot of teams. He played for the Yankees, but they got Dave Winfield, and I think one other guy at the deadline. I don't think it was David Cone, but it might have been David Cone. I mean, David Cone was on that team, who I loved from my Mets days.
Yeah.
And they won the World Series. That was fun.
That was the World Series. Yeah.
Paul Molitor,
Paul.
John Olerud.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Like that's a small one. Have you ever seen the ones here that are like fingernail size?
Oh yeah.
Or the moths that are bigger than.
Dude, I found this giant bug. I was saving it to show you. I don't know where it is. Marianne came yesterday, so she probably was like, what is this?
These morons doing with bugs in the house.
But it was huge. It was monstrous. Like, you think of like Amazon bug. It looked like a fly on steroids, but it was
I remember like my first year or two in Ecuador, the insect life was very impressive to me. Especially when like I'd be out and I remember the first time I saw they have here those multicolored ladybugs.
Yeah.
Green, like bright green,
yellow,
bright purple.
Yeah. I haven't seen a purple one.
Yeah, and they're like some of them are literally like thumbnail size.
Wow.
And the first time I saw a moth that was,
Yeah.
What is that?
Right.
The dinosaur?
I know. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool, Brandon.
It is cool.
I mean, it is cool.
I don't care.
Oh, you're not making fun of me, okay?
No, I do think it's cool.
It is cool.
My son's all into it. I mean, I told you.
Bugs?
Yeah, like bugs. Like, oh, Dad, let's see. I mean, he picked up when we first moved here that first year.
Yeah.
We were up. All of a sudden, I'm upstairs at in San Joaquin, and downstairs he's like, Dad, come look at this. This bug's got a horn.
Oh, I remember.
He's got a freaking scorpion in his hand. I'm like, dude, it's not a good idea. Put it down.
Squeeze it. Oh man. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw a scorpion. I was at Ishkailuma because I stayed there the first like 2-3 months I was here, and looking for a rental, but I wasn't really because I liked it there so much. But they kept like moving me around.
Oh.
They kept being like, all right, Friday you're gonna have to go. We're fully booked, and then they'd be like, Thursday they'd be like, well, actually, if you move to this room, I probably moved rooms like 4 or 5, 6 times. But I didn't want to leave. But yeah, I remember this lady. In fact, you know who it was? It's the same lady. I'm forgetting her name, and she's kind of a friend. She's really lovely. It's the wife of the jeweler who has the place next to Vilca Garden.
Towards the corner?
Down. No.
Towards the other way.
The like artisan jeweler.
Yeah.
Colombian, I forget his name as well. But
Haro.
Is that his name?
Is it Haro?
I don't know. I don't remember. But his wife, and they're nice. I like both of them. They're cool. Yeah. I don't remember if she's also Colombian. I think she is. Anyways, I think it was her. She was putting her jacket on, and someone saw it and was like, and she opened it. It was one of the. Usually they're really small, but it was a bigger one.
Scorpion?
Scorpion.
Oh.
And that was the first time I was like, there's scorpions here. And I thought at that time they're deadly because that's what you think, which I guess some of them are.
Yeah, I guess.
But the ones here
Actually,
aren't.
I don't even know if they are.
I don't know either. But the ones here, which I've never been bitten by, but everyone who has says they're just like a bad bee bite. They hurt, but that's it.
Yeah, maybe there's different breeds or something, maybe in different parts of the world.
These are the non-GMO. These Bill Gates didn't modify these scorpions yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that we're aware of. Yeah.
It's not high on the priority list.
No.
Of modifications.
Right. Well, that's kind of how I've been thinking about all this stuff, and people are freaking out about things in the world and all that stuff, and you're seeing more and more and more dive into what we would used to be conspiracy and alternative media and alternative news source and all that stuff, right? It's like super popular. And and I mean, and there's controversy, right, going on with what happened over the weekend, but I keep thinking, like, you look around the world and there's if I were people that were trying to control other people or control populations or control timelines or any of that stuff, there's places to do it, right? There's like strategic places that it makes sense to do things. And then I think of Vilcabamba, and
this isn't quite one of them.
It's like, what, there's 5,000, 7,000 people here. It's such a small town. And
Right.
I realized, like, talking to some buddies over the weekend, because obviously with the Trump stuff, it's like everybody's on Twitter. Like, you should see the metrics for Twitter. Like, they're through the roof. Everybody and their mother is on it.
It's like Rumble during COVID.
right. We're talking to these guys.
Our channel during the assassination of the
right.
Not quite.
Not quite, but yeah.
We were right.
It's our version of that. Right. We were a microcosm, yeah. Relative to our micro presence. but
I got some very dirty jokes.
The general perception of people that haven't been here, that I've realized now, just talking to these guys, that haven't been here but watch the channel for whatever reason, because they're actually interested or they want to make fun of me or whatever. Both. The perception is this place is way bigger than it is.
Oh, really?
Like
Vilcabamba. Or
like,
Ecuador.
Probably both, but definitely Vilcabamba. The perception is like this is a city. It's huge and
it's tiny.
It's tiny. It's a small town relative to a small town in the United States.
Bro, we got our first 4 chain restaurants in the last 6 months.
Right.
And our first gas station. That was a year ago or something, a little more. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we got our first gas station in the last 2 years. We got our first 4 chain restaurants, and it's shocking. And by the way, by chain restaurants, I mean there's also one in Loja.
Right.
Not like
it's not like an international chain.
Not like a countrywide or international chain. I just mean like there's like
the sole proprietor in Loja decided, hey, I'm gonna try one over there.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Like I saw. Actually, I'm lying because they had a Kemi Sushi.
Yeah.
Which did have 2 locations simultaneously, and Sushi Cat that had 2 locations.
Sushi
Cat was
here?
in Vilca for a short period.
It's not anymore.
No.
Neither is a Kemi Sushi. So.
No. And now we have Dragon Wings.
Oh, I haven't tried Dragon Wings.
I haven't either. It just opened across the street from our office.
That's the chain? Oh, that's the one I said. What the hell is that? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So that I've seen that in
It's
Loja.
open?
I don't know.
Okay. I saw the sign.
And we have a coconut place. That's actually kind of a real chain. That place that
the one on the main
coconuts.
road?
Yeah. Anyways, so people think it's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Is that the whole story?
No, well,
Just gonna do it again.
I don't know why that's the perception. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
Like, I haven't been able to figure out why.
Well, because there's a couple of morons on YouTube babbling about it all the time, probably. It's like, why would we be talking about a town of 5,000 to 8,000 people?
I mean, perhaps. But we don't talk about it like it's giant. Like, we always make the point.
Like, this is town.
Right. That's so funny. It's true. I mean, yeah. It's a rural.
Pretty rural.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that's interesting. But I think back to the original point with anything that you think can happen or does happen or will happen or might happen. All these what ifs. What if this happens? Like, okay, you don't have any control of it anyway. And
Right. That's the key.
if it happens, there's strategic places that it would happen, in my opinion, way more likely than somebody targeting a 7,000 person town in the rural part of southern Ecuador in the Andes Mountains.
Yes.
That's
Well, that was like
90% Ecuadorian.
That was like
or
after
5.
That was like after 9/11, and they were probably just doing this to scare people. But I remember seeing these interviews. It was like the man on the street interviews, and they're in some like town in Georgia of like 2,000 people, and you know it's like I don't want to make fun of people, so I'll try not to.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to not do that, but I'm gonna try.
You're from Vermont.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
you can.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Let's use Vermont. Then I can make fun of it.
Thank you.
They're in they're in rural Vermont,
Right.
and the guy's got 4 teeth, and a tank top, and one of those tails.
Yeah.
You know,
rat
like
tails.
one of the tails.
And a wife beater. Use the right terminology.
Or maybe more so like a army tank top, maybe.
Oh,
or
okay. Like just like the sleeves cut off.
Something
kinda
like
thing.
that, yeah,
Okay.
or the see-through one,
Oh,
maybe even,
all right.
or, and you know, and a chain connected to his wallet for sure,
All right.
and and he likes to hunt. No, he doesn't talk like that. That's the South. He perks the cur. Anyways, no, I freaking love Vermont, but and they're in like in a town of a couple thousand people, and they're talking about they could strike anywhere, and we're protecting the local Walmart. And from terrorist attacks, and like it's that kind of
I love it.
thing. What do I want to say to you? Oh yeah, it's like it's like everything, man. It's just I'm not supposed to swear, so we can beep less.
Yeah.
It's
Less
just
beeping.
It's just the fear versus not fear paradigm. Period. End of story. Through every aspect of life, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just that. And it's like, the folks, people who are fearful, which everyone has fears. I'm not saying. Well, maybe we'll get there one day. No fears. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
0. That would be fun.
0 fear? Interesting.
But it's just, that's all it is. So it's just the degree to which people have fear makes them on one side or another of everything. And if you have fear, like you just live in a crappy world where everything's happening all the time. It's happening. Run, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it is actually happening, which it also is simultaneously, like it is and isn't at the same time, it doesn't matter. Like,
right.
Like,
what do you do?
Right.
Right.
Like, what I've found so interesting too is like watching people run from things they're fearful of into something that's much worse that actually manifests the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Or people like it's kind of that out of the frying pan, out of the kettle, out of the something into the fire, out of the that one.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. I mean, I even find it interesting that a lot of people ran here to escape things for safety, and then there's this crime stuff going on. And it's like, you can't run to anything you can't run away from anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. You have to. It's internal. Like you have to conquer it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not external.
Yeah, and that's interesting too about because everybody's we're all different. Our perceptions of safety and risk are all different. Right. How we handle that, how we view that, what we perceive as risk or not risk, safe or unsafe. That's different for all of us, and really that's anywhere you go you're going to deal with the ramifications of life and being a human, and I don't know, man, it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome time right now, dude. I think
it's like the most beautiful time in the history of the planet.
It's an amazing time.
I don't know about the history of the planet.
It's going to be, it's probably, some will say blasphemous to say that, but it's a wild time. It's an amazing time. And how awesome is it that right now in this realm, in this moment, we're living through it together, brother.
Yes, we are, my friend.
Dude.
It's good to live through it with you.
It's good to live through it with you as well. It's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean that stuff. It's like it just comes down to your frequency and your vibration is creates your experience. Period. And so like that shapes that informs your perspective on whether this is the darkest, scariest, worst time ever, or this is the most beautiful, high frequency, amazing, more open and free and joyful than ever. And look, there's lots of dips and in betweens, and I'm no
Sure.
like, I'm no, I'm not Gandhi. So, although he's controversial actually, but
Yes.
yeah, but but the point is understood. But yeah, I mean that's all it is, and so it kind of comes back to that paradigm we were talking about a second ago. Like, are you gonna are you gonna sit around and be fearful and bitch and like create more violence in your life based on how you feel and look
And
at
stress,
things and stress,
and turmoil, and mental instability, and
yeah. Or or are you gonna like go through the openings that are there to like
right,
and just keep
right. Open the next door.
yeah.
Have fun, smile, enjoy. Because you know what? Either one you choose, bro, either one we all choose, at the end of the day, we don't get to be here long.
Right,
So,
it doesn't matter, right?
you know,
Yeah,
so,
right.
like,
Right. Yep. It's pretty limited
yeah.
time period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I had this lesson come back to me yesterday, the last few days, where my wife is going to uh, a retreat, the same one that I went to. Did I tell you
Flows.
about this? Yeah, flows.
Yeah.
And which I'm really excited for her. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it for her as well.
we'll leave that there. But yeah, no. She's going to this retreat. It's gonna be amazing. But so I had bought her ticket like some weeks back,
Mhm.
and I was kind of thinking like, do I want to try and take the kids and go? I haven't been home in the summer for years at this point.
Oh, that's
Like I used to
beautiful
go
in
all
the
the
summer.
time. Yeah, it's beautiful in the summer. And my mom and sister out in Nantucket, and my dad's in Vermont, and I got some family and friends in New York, and it's beautiful. It's awesome this time of year. Do I want to do that? Anyways, long story short, I was going to book the tickets, and then I was kind of like hemming and hawing, and all the signals were there to like move forward. But I was like, it's expensive and this and that, and where I'm travel.
If I wait longer, it might get cheaper.
Well, I don't play that game, but travel stuff and logistics and checking this with people and checking that and just kind of like doing the mental due diligence crap
Mm-hmm.
that I have learned over and over again is not shouldn't be part of my process. But yeah, so I finally went to book them, and they're already a little more expensive than they were like 2-3 days earlier. And it's pretty close. I mean, it's like a week and a half. So
Oh, is it?
yeah, a
Oh,
week and a half. And so I went to go book them, and I realized that one of my kids' passports is expired. So I'm like, this sent me into a whole nother tizzy. And it came to me in that moment where I was like, I should just move forward and book it anyway. I'll get this sorted out.
Yeah.
But then the mental thing was like, well, let me first email the embassy and make sure and check on this and and then the red carpet rolled out. So the embassy in Quito answered my email like right away, and
Nice.
then it took maybe 24 hours to like go back and forth, and then they told me the process to get like a quick temporary passport.
Okay.
So then they're like, well, first you got to make an appointment and then email us, and so I'm still kind of going through this process. I make the appointment, or I go to make the appointment. Usually, because I've done this several times for my kids, usually they're months out, the appointments.
Okay.
Usually they're not. They have an appointment for Wednesday, which I'm going to be in Quito anyways.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So the whole red carpet rolls out. So I'm like, great, this is awesome. I go back to book They're like double. The
Oh no!
tickets are like,
Oh,
and it was just interesting to me of the lesson because it's just when you get the signals, listen to them.
right. Here's
When
your
when the
sign.
signs are there,
Yep.
just do it, and then everything works out. Otherwise, you can like fall off that timeline,
Right.
and at least for me,
Yeah. Do they speak English at the embassy?
it's the U.S.
It's
consulate.
U.S. consulate.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I had a. This is such a trivial version of that.
Yeah.
But I'm playing fantasy baseball with
Yeah.
guys for a long time, and me and my buddy Sean and his brother-in-law Billy, who's a buddy of mine. There's the three of us are on this text chain, and we're probably the three most competitive consistently in the league. But the three of us will shoot the breeze, but we all love baseball, so we talk about baseball all the time or whatever. And my buddy Sean, I'm playing head to head this week, and this is all related to Signs from the Universe. And he's got this player that he actually subsequently just traded the other day, but it's Corbin Carroll from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I've like made this, I've made some memes about these other guys' players.
Yeah.
So I've made fun of Corbin Carroll. I call him, short barrel Carroll, the puppet arm dwarf, and and like all jokes around that. And these guys are from Arizona, in Arizona,
Okay.
so they're Diamondbacks fans. So it's just like fun, good fun and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a pitcher that I have, Kikuchi from the Toronto Blue Jays,
Okay.
and they were playing the Diamondbacks. And I'm up on Sean in the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason for me strategically to ever start Kikuchi. And I'm like, you know what? The only reason I'm gonna start him is because they're playing the Diamondbacks, and I want to make fun of Short Barrel Carroll.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I'm like, that's the only reason. So I put him in the lineup, and I messaged Sean and Billy. I'm like, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to make fun of, it's going to be fun to make fun of the puppet arm dwarf.
You kind of hedged a little bit.
Right?
Shouldn't have hedged.
No. Listen to the story.
Yeah.
So the universe,
took him out.
the universe gave me a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Short Barrel Carroll got pulled out of the starting lineup, and he was sitting.
Okay.
So I remember clicking Kikuchi, seeing that, clicking Kikuchi, and moving him back to the bench. I'm like, the only reason I'm playing him is because I want to make fun of Carroll, and Carroll's not even playing. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? He's got Ketel Marte too, who's a shortstop who I like. I think he's a shortstop or a second baseman. Who's a stud, but I like him. But he's on Sean's team. I'm like, all right, well, at least I can say something about Carroll then, or about Marte. So I put Kikuchi back in the starting lineup, even though the universe gave me a sign. Don't do this, you dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Kikuchi's mowing them down through the fourth. No, no runs, bunch of strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the fifth inning, he doesn't even get out, and he gives up a grand slam to Ketel Marte and gets pulled from the game. like, here's your sign. Listen to the signals,
God's like,
Yep. Punk ass.
take that grand salami.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Like, seriously, like you can't make it up.
Fantasy sports and gambling, I would say in general, are actually like the ultimate tests of, or not the ultimate tests, but they're great tests of, are you listening to the signs and intuition?
Right.
They really
Agreed.
are. Like, you can actually hone your intuitive skills through crap like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree to that.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. They can teach some tough lessons as well. Well, gambling particularly.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still having trouble with this credit card. It's unbelievable. Anyways, all right.
We're going to talk about
It's
a podcast.
man.
We should probably film a podcast.
Let's do it.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Podcast needs to come out tomorrow, so we need to film it so that
Yeah.
Fernando can do his
forget
magic.
the hooks this week.
Yeah, we haven't had the hook meeting anyway, so.
We haven't. Which you aptly named hookers.
What?
You aptly named that meeting hookers.
Hookers?
Hookers.
It's probably a typo.
I got a calendar invite from you after you made that typo.
It said hookers.
Hookers.
Yeah, that's autocorrect.
From hook to hookers. Makes sense.
Well, I wouldn't have wrote hookers.
No, you would never do that. I mean, that's very different from your sense of humor that you just shared with us in your baseball story.
Short Barrel Carol, the puppet on dwarf.
All right.
I've also aptly named Gunnar Henderson from the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
CBG, the closet butt gunner.
Okay. Like, it makes me happy that you're happy and that you think you're funny. I like it.
I don't think I'm funny.
I mean, you actually are. You're like, I shouldn't say this. I'm not going to say it.
You got to say it.
I got to say it?
You should. It's true.
I can't.
Why?
The funny thing is, you actually do know what I'm going to say.
I know. So just say it.
No.
Yes.
You say it, and I'll tell you if I'm
No,
right.
you have to say it. You still haven't apologized from how many pods ago? Say it.
Oh, gosh. No, I'm not saying it.
It's ridiculous.
It kind of is. I probably should say it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
We all know.
Is this the sign?
We all know.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the apology.
No, I'm not. Well, we all know that, too.
Bro. All right.
All right, we doing this?
Mm-hmm. All right. Dude, these tickets, I'm like upset. Ide just got a charge sent to her card.
Okay.
Should have worked.
But it didn't?
But I got an email saying it was rejected. Declined. Dude, trying to do stuff from this.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it, baby.
Hello and welcome back to the Ecuador Insider podcast. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel here. For real estate videos, click here. For content you're gonna absolutely love, right here. And to find out how these crazy guys got to Ecuador, click right here.